hi. Hello. You know, I got you something, and it's not a hot dog. Let me just get it out of my... Hello, my name is Zena, and you are watching my channel. I know I'm reading Reddit stories, and it's not the podcast set, but this isn't going to be like podcast length. I know you guys want some stories, so I'm just gonna give you a little some little razzle dazzles. My chair is squeaking, but I just wanted to read a couple stories and get your guys' little Reddit cravings fulfilled. I have a little theme for us. I haven't read any of these stories, but they are from the Reddit thread r/petty revenge. Are they going to be good, bad, juicy? So let's just dive into it. I want some tea. So the name of this one is Pettiest of Petty Revenge. This happened around 1999 to 2000 when I was working at a store. Part of my job involved opening and closing the store on certain days. I was constantly frustrated with my boss. She refused to listen to reason, and we argued repeatedly over how things should be organized and managed. The breaking point came when she sided with a coworker during a heated disagreement. Before I go any further, I'll admit that looking back, I was in the wrong. I acted like an entitled brat, and my behavior was far from mature. With that said, here's the petty revenge I carried out. Hey, at least now you've grown and you realize whatever you did, I'm not sure. I'm speaking beforehand, but at least you know now, and that's growth. It says, that night after my boss took my coworker's side in our argument, I was scheduled to close the store. I was also supposed to open it the next morning. I hate a close open. That's not fair. Especially when it's like close 2 a.m., open 6 a.m. Yeah, been there. After everyone had left for the day, I saw an opportunity to enact my petty revenge. I went to my boss's computer, unlocked it. She was a slow typer, and I had previously watched her put a password in, and signed her up for at least 20 different adult websites using her work email. That's bad. They can get in trouble with that. Since I was already logged into her system, I opened her email and confirmed each subscription. Yeah, if you're in her computer. These were free sites that sent daily updates featuring explicit content. Once that was done, I grabbed a stack of her floppy disks, the ones she used to back up all her important data. I went out to my truck, got a large magnet. I had one of them from the back of a speaker I had just replaced, and returned it to run it over every single disk, ensuring the data was corrupted. Okay, that might be illegal. That's like destroying property. And I mean, is it her property or is it the company's property? Because it's the company's information. So you gotta be careful. We gotta be careful. We don't do that. We don't do that. After that, I printed out a bold sign that simply read, I quit. I cleared the history on her computer before shutting it down. Then I walked to the front of the store, placed my note on the cash register, and headed out. I locked the doors behind me, and in final act of defiance, tossed the key away. Unsurprisingly, the store didn't open on time the next morning. Fortunately, I never heard from them again. Oh my God. That's so petty. That's okay. So like the adult website signing up thing, like that would have been enough. And it's her work email. It's not like you were in her personal email. You were still on her computer. See, like that would have been it right there. Not going and destroying all the data that could be company property to where you could, I mean, you said you never heard from them again, so lucky you. Next story. So this one is from r/petty revenge. So the name of this story is, she charged me $1,200 in cleaning fees, so I cleaned her reviews. The person whoever wrote this thinks they're so funny. I rented a small event space for a surprise party. The place looked nice online, decent price, and the host seemed polite enough until after the event. Out of nowhere, she hits me with a $1,200 deep cleaning bill, said we left the place unusable, which was wild because we barely used the kitchen and left it cleaner than we found it. I asked for proof. She sent blurry photos of trash, not even ours. I appealed through the booking platform, denied. She was clearly running a side hustle, a scam a few hundred off each booking and hope no one fights too hard. So I did my own cleaning, found her business on every platform I could, Yelp, Google, Facebook, even the website, and left detailed, calm, 1-star reviews with photos from our event showing how spotless the place was when we left. Turns out I wasn't the only one. My reviews picked up traction. Others came forward with the same scan. Within weeks, her rating dropped from 4.8 to 2.9. I mean, that's just karma. Last I checked, she's offering 50% all bookings. Guess someone's trying to clean up her reputation. Oh my God, this person thinks they're so funny with all their puns. I mean, when you're trying to scam people, especially $1,200 is a lot for some people. I know it's not for some, but it is a lot for some people. So it's kind of ridiculous. When you're scamming people, I totally believe that that's fucked up. And the universe will take care of you. That is for sure. And that's what happened here. She got her rating. I can't believe if she was like confirmed scammed, and there's all these comments though, that she's not like kicked off Airbnb. Let's see if there's any comments. Someone said, at least she didn't come back with remove your review or we'll take you to court, which appears to be the norm these days. Oh my gosh, that's scary. What do you guys think? Would you pay the $1,200 cleaning fees? And if you had to, would you go talk shit about said host? Not even talk shit. Leave reviews. Because honestly, reviews are what you're supposed to leave for whenever you buy, book, plan, anything. Because that's what they rely on. Because the first thing everyone does is look at the reviews. Look at the reviews. And if you have terrible reviews, then it's going to do terrible. Dum-dums, people, I swear. Okay, next story. So this next story, the name is Petty Revenge Was Worse Than I Imagined. I told this story at work today and someone said I should post it here. At the end of a relationship about 8 years now, my then partner and I split, and I was moving out of the place we shared because he owned it. Backstory. We love a backstory. Okay. So they split and they were moving out. Yeah, because he owned it. Okay. Normal. He was a jerk and our relationship ended with physical abuse. Oh my God, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. I had not long before spent serious time and money putting in garden beds all the way around the house. Many of my flowers were expensive, and I told him I planned to take them out and plant them at my new place. He agreed. Fair. It's your plants. I get that. While getting large pots at the garden center, I saw they had catnip seeds. Now, I knew catnip could be hard to grow, but that's pretty much all I knew about it at the time. What? What is catnip doing? In a fit of spite, I bought a ton of catnip seeds. And seeded the newly empty beds with them. I figured because I'd been told they were very difficult to propagate, that maybe a few plants might pop up and attract neighborhood cats, and he'd have to weed them out and it would be a minor annoyance for him. That's all I ever intended it to be. In fact, after I didn't think about it again until recently, I happened to have a new client in his neighborhood that I met with for the first time yesterday. I drove by his house and saw that it had a for sale sign in front of it and there were like 6 cats in the yard. I asked my new client about it and learned that while catnip is difficult to propagate, once it does, it's basically an invasive species, and apparently I planted it at just the right time of year because it propagated quite well and has been spreading ever since. It took over the yard and he's tried getting rid of it in multiple ways, and every time it comes back worse. I was informed that if you drive by in the summer with the windows down, the whole end of the street smells like a litter box. And I genuinely feel bad about it because it was only supposed to be a minor inconvenience. No, that is his karma. That is the universe making him eat the shit he served. And that is justice. And we love justice. Yeah. He deserves that and more. I didn't think about the fact that they'd be like in the yard pooping and peeing and like stinking and all the ammonia. Ugh, nasty. But justice. Okay, you guys, this next story, the name of it is, I made a dude get his nuts waxed on the first date after he lied to me. Oh my God, here we go. When I was in my early 20s and online dating was just starting, I made a profile and said I was not going to be into 2 things, smokers and people with kids. Okay, fair. Everyone has their preference. Just that. That was her only requirements, rules. You could be anything else if the chemistry is there. We are all good. I met this guy early in the morning for breakfast date, and we are hitting it off averagely. No sparks, but no red flags. The date goes for 2.5 hours, breakfast taking forever until we're splitting the bill and he tells me he has a kid. I ask him if he read my profile to know that I was not interested in that, and he says, yes, I read that, but knew if you just spent some time with me, you'd see how great I am and how you'd be willing to see past that. That's not how it works, especially on date 1. I was floored as now he wasted 3 hours of my life and was okay with being a liar. That was unacceptable to me. I said, well, I don't want this date to end, but I have to go across town to get my Brazilian, where they take all their hair off, including the bum hole, done in an hour. Want to come with me to get one too? That is a crazy thing to tell someone on your first date, by the way. And it's even more crazy to ask if they want to come with. but it seems like they had a scheming plan. Okay, it's not painful, a total lie in parentheses. And I think it's attractive on men to be clean there. No pressure, but I'm pretty busy the rest of the week and this is my only free day. She's like guilt tripping him into thinking her only time is when she's getting her coochie waxed. Okay. He was all about following me anywhere. I told the ladies that this was his first time and that they should take everything, including the butt. He held my hand between a curtain and we both got them done at the same time. I was so wrong. They can't hold hands. That's cool. Okay. He screamed a lot, but was a champ and went through it. I made him pay for his own and never called him again. If you're out there, Chris, please don't lie to women on the first date. It's a really bad way to start a relationship. That is hilarious. And I love that they did hold hands and she supported him emotionally in that moment, but then was like, bye. So he's like, I got my nuts and my taint waxed for nothing. In my booty hole. That's insane. That is hilarious. Again, karmic justice, and we love it. There's an edit here. It says edit. Wow. Well, it seems like most people have 3 general reactions. 1, this is delightfully petty. 2, you're a horrible person plus other explicitives. And 3, this is fake. Okay, well, I didn't think it was fake. And even if it's fake, it's still really funny, but thank you for all the validation that online dating sucks for all genders and you shouldn't go into it with a lie. 2, yeah, I am a horrible person. 3, it's not fake, but you can think so if you want. When I was in my early 20s, I did a lot of things I would still maybe do now that some wouldn't. That is really funny. I believe it. I'm gonna believe it. It makes me happy. I'm gonna believe it. Yeah, again, justice. We love it. So the next story, also from Petty Revenge, it says, entitled Parker parked in my driveway, so I blocked them in and got drunk all weekend. What? Okay. Friday night, I came home from work to find someone on our block was having a large party, and someone decided they were entitled to park in my driveway. Oh, that's different if it's not your friend or anything, and it's the neighbors, and it's the neighbors. It's not even the neighbors, it's like the neighbors' people parking in your driveway. That's not okay. It's different if it's like parking on the, like on the curb of the street outside. I know like in some cities and stuff, but yeah, that's not okay. And it says, keep in mind, my driveway is a single car width lined with a retaining wall on both sides and a garage at the end. Essentially impossible for a tow truck to come pull them out without property damage. Oh my God. Seeing this and the lack of street parking, I took this as a cue to park right behind them in my driveway. Now, a few hours go by and their entitled Parker is now knocking at my door demanding I move my car so she can leave. Seeing as they were demanding, I informed them that I had been drinking and would not move my car. Oh no. The entitled Parker then decides to call the police to get them to force me to move. When the police knocked on my door, I was sure to grab a beer from the fridge before I answered to talk to the officer. Yeah, it's not illegal to drink in your house. I would be so scared to have a beer in front of a police officer. That's just because I'm a baby. I had informed him that after I got home, I was unwinding and had been drinking and was in no shape to drive. At this point, their hands were tied because they couldn't tow her car out. I'm in no shape to drive, and I'm legally parked in my own driveway. I ended up telling the entitled Parker that since it's a long weekend, I would be on a weekend-long bender and they could come get their car after I go to work on Tuesday. So it's not even Monday, it's Tuesday too. Oh! See, that's crazy. That's why you don't park in someone's driveway. I would have moved. I'm too nice of a person. I would have let them move, but I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you held your ground. And I mean, the police couldn't do anything about it, so that's really great and funny too. But I mean, don't park in other people's driveways. I mean, lesson learned right there. Oh my God, so one of the comments said I would have taken an Uber to work on Tuesday just as an extra fuck you. Imagine not having your car Monday and Tuesday. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Someone was like, too bad you don't work a remote job. Okay. That one's not too bad, but it's still pretty good. What do you guys think? Would you park behind them and go on a weekend long bender, or like at least like drink for the night maybe to where you couldn't like move your car if they called the police, blah, blah, blah. I would have just moved it the night when she knocked on my door. I would have been like, yeah, bitch, you shouldn't have parked in my driveway. Like, don't do that next time. Or maybe I would have left a little note. been like, don't do this. No, I wouldn't have left a note. That's too passive aggressive. I would have just moved and when she knocked on the door. I'm a people pleaser, I'm sorry. All right. Our next story is a proof that I had a flat tire so that the lazy people in my group project would have to do the presentation themselves. Likely they will fail. That was a long one. So it says, I'm in a class where a group research project presentation is a huge chunk of overall points. Everyone knows in group projects, you always have that one slacker who doesn't do anything that you have to compensate for. However, I got stuck with possibly the worst three people to be in a project with in this class. I did the entire research, presentation, poster boards, etc., among many other annoying things myself. I tried talking to them and telling them they needed to put in their share or effort. Ignored. I'll send them tasks to do. Ignored. I'd try to schedule meetings. They'd say they were coming and then leave me alone at the library. This happened from the get-go. It was abundantly clear that they expected everyone else to do the work, but everyone else turned out to be just me. We couldn't have things 100% memorized, word for word, and we couldn't read off anything. We had to actually know the subject. Okay, yeah, I've had to do that before. You can't be like, or I was fully prepared to do most of the talking and even wrote down a small script for them and told them to know what to say during their part. At the very least, the night before, I told them we had to meet to at least go over the whole thing one time. Once again, none of them showed. That would be insane. You need to have like 1 or 2 little group meetings if you're doing a frickin' group class project. That's so fucked. I would have told the teacher, fuck that. At this point, I'm livid and decide they can just do it themselves, which means they'd get up there and not know a damn thing to say other than the small info I gave them and couldn't even bullshit anything because they did no research. Thing is, if we miss without an excuse, we fail the project. If you have an excuse, you have to have documentation. I commute and live an hour away, so I decide that I'll conveniently have a flat tire right before class. Went out and actually bought a tire so I could have the receipt to prove it. Emailed the professor who said I can present by myself during his office hours. Turns out they completely bombed and not only probably failed the project, but since they're bad students, they might even fail the class. That's crazy. And there's an edit that says, edited to say, the professor stated at the beginning that we were not allowed to contact him about people slacking in the group and said to work it out amongst ourselves. Said that we were adults and that he wouldn't even respond to emails about it. Okay, so this must be college. Because if this is college, then yeah, you're not going to like, you won't let me do it. Yeah, so this is obviously a college class that you pay for. So it's like, if you're paying to be here, why aren't you there? You know what I mean? Like, why waste your time if you're paying to go to school somewhere? And it really bugs other people. But hey, you figured out a solution. You figured out a way to get around it in the whole thing, which I think is pretty genius. But it's also, again, karma. Sometimes petty revenge is just the universe giving things back with a little push, you know? I don't think any of these stories have been, besides the property damage for the company's information, these have all been pretty mild. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about any of the stories that I read to you today. Let me know if you agree with some of the petty revenge, or are they like a terrible person, or would you do that? I will leave a link below in the description if you would like to submit any anonymous stories to my Google form. 100% anonymous. You can tell me anything. It can be your petty revenge. It can be anything. So I'll leave that in the description below if you want to check that out. Once again, my name is Zena, and thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.